Someone who doesn't seem to care about the national audience is Greece's former finance minister Yanis Varoufakis. He's running for a seat in the European Parliament for the left-leaning Democracy in Europe movement in Germany. Euronews' Ifi Kotsukosta talked to him in English.
And why did you decide to run in Germany? Because one could say that you do that to provoke, or even because the threshold is very low, so it's easy for you to secure the percentage needed so that you enter the parliament.
My line has always been, and this is why I entered politics, that this is a European crisis, and the worst aspect of it is that the vested interests that are shifting the losses from the financial sector onto the shoulders of the weakest taxpayers and voters are very keen to turn the people of Greece against the people of Germany, the people of Italy against the people of France. And if we succumb to that, then we are going to be responsible for awful developments in Europe. And we need to stop that. This is why DiEM25 was inaugurated in Berlin at the Volksbühne Theater in February of 2016, because we wanted to symbolize that we are all in this together, and that if we need to change Europe, if we want to change Europe, it has to start in places like Germany. If you want to reform and transform the Roman Empire, you start in Rome. You do not start in some village in Greece.
But as the American economist Francis Fukuyama said, those who complained about Germany's power and dominance, they may face something even worse, a weak Germany. So, given the rise of all these nationalist movements across the continent, do you think that Mrs. Merkel will be missed, and her leadership, of course?
Personally speaking, I'm going to miss Mrs. Merkel, but she has been remiss. She committed a great crime of omission by not utilizing both her expertise and her skill. She's a very skillful politician, and her political capital, which was immense in 2012, 2013, to unify Europe, to put us back on a sustainable path. Nevertheless, I have no doubt that whatever government follows Mrs. Merkel is going to be worse.
But looking at your proposals, what you're saying is about a new deal, as you very often describe it. But how can this be done with countries with too high levels of debt? So what you're actually asking is for the rich countries to pay something more to save the poor ones.
We are asking for exactly the opposite. What we are proposing as part of our New Deal is to create a war chest, a fund against both deflation and climate change. The whole philosophy, if you want, of our New Deal is to utilize existing institutions that we have and we cherish, like the European Investment Bank and like the European Central Bank, and for the next 5-6 years to stabilize Europe and to turn Europe in the mind of those people who are lured by the sirens of populism, to turn Europe from a source of problems and austerity to a source of solution without more taxes.
Is there anybody any EU leader that really is interested in your ideas?
Well, I remember when I was a governor of the European Investment Bank, I put forward this idea in the Board of Governors, and there wasn't a single person who expressed opposition to the idea. But you see, the problem with the European Investment Bank is that it needs a green light from the European Union Council. And unfortunately, the European Union Council has never had a serious conversation about how to systematically address the systemic crisis of Europe. What happens is, they are firefighters. They allow the crisis of Greek debt, of Irish banks, of Italy, of Spain, to reach a crescendo, and then they have these all-nighters, you know, the 20-hour meetings, to firefight that particular manifestation, symptom of the crisis. So that is the major issue.
But as we are in Oxford, let's go to another European crisis, which is Brexit. So you don't agree with EU Council's President Donald Tusk that recently said there is a special place to hell for those having campaigned for Brexit without a plan?
I agree with Mr. Tusk. I believe there is a special place in hell for those who advocated Brexit on the basis of false promises. But isn't there a similar place in hell for the Troika and those who are pushing for austerity for the many and socialism for the bankers in the European Union?